The VR training market has seen a tremendous growth post-COVID. And in an era where hybrid working is the norm, situational training is becoming even more important. Last couple of years, we've seen already quite some use cases for VR training in a variety of industries. And we believe 2023 is going to be even bigger. In today's webinar, we will discuss these trends and predictions for 2023. We will be discussing 7 predictions we think why coming year is going to be very big for VR training. I'm Thijs de Vries, CEO of Warp VR, and together with me is Guido Helmenhorst, Chief Growth Officer at Warp VR, and together we will be discussing these predictions for coming year.
Thank you, Thijs, for this introduction, and happy to share with you guys the predictions for 2023. And let's start off with the first one, which is VR for onboarding. And as Thijs shared, we've seen in the past few years many use cases, predominantly in the health and safety, but we foresee that onboarding will be big. And onboarding is all about that first part of the employee journey. So onboarding has seen a tremendous growth for, let's say, the past 10 years, where the field, where we see that's the beginning of the employee journey, has seen more and more focus and dedication from companies. And a couple of players have really dominated the place, where, for example, Apical, you see that it's really a professional way of onboarding new employees into the organization. But so far, it has been more 2D, so via an app. So our prediction is that it's going to be more immersive and scenario-based. It is important for companies to really onboard their employees for culture, for compliance, for clarification, and to have people really confident coming into the job. And what better way than together with kind of the 2D support, also provide them with real-life experiences where they can experience the headquarters, which might be in another country, or the company cultures, and really see how people interact with each other, or more on compliance and how to deal with difficult situations. So to better onboard, to have better retention, we predict that VR for onboarding will be big.
On to prediction number 2. VR training is not just for the enterprise. Often with new emerging technologies, we see that enterprise is directly diving into these technologies. They have the funds, they have the resources to experiment with these new technologies, just as happened with virtual reality. We're seeing a lot of use cases within enterprise, such as KLM, Shell, ASML, where VR training is being used for a variety of use cases, mostly in health and safety, but also we've seen onboarding and other use cases. But we do predict that in 2023, more other companies are also starting with VR training. And we can already see the first signs when looking at educational institutions. VR training is used by students to bring situations from outside the classroom inside. It's a great opportunity for students to experience everything that happens in real life during jobs in order to teach and experience what that might be like after they graduated. And it's not just universities which are using VR training. We can already see applications in primary schools, but also vocational education. And we've also seen platforms being used by students in order to create VR training, to make it a great way to learn about certain topics when creating these immersive experiences. And next to education, we also see training agencies being using VR training more and more. Clients of these training agencies are actually requesting VR training, often next to e-learning, as more of a blended learning approach. Meaning that these training agencies are also looking for easy-to-use platforms so they can, next to their e-learnings, create these immersive learning experiences and offer this as a full training package to their clients. So to conclude, 2023 is going to be big for enterprise, but also for education and training agencies.
All right, on to prediction number 3, which is all about that we're expecting to see more and more full-fledged VR implementations, VR training implementations, instead of or as opposed to pilots. So in the early days of VR training, we saw a lot of enterprises doing pilots, right? To test out whether it was feasible, whether the hardware worked, how the trainees received those VR training scenarios. But now it's time, at least we expect it for 2023, is more full-fledged implementations. And I wanted to discuss 2 main drivers for that. So one is the learning management system or learning experience systems. So when COVID hit, we saw a lot of enterprises and companies doubling down on their efforts to provide kind of maximum value for implementing and providing e-learning to their employees via their LMS. But a lot of companies weren't fully ready. So, COVID time really took time and effort from HR, L&D, and basically anybody in the company to make that happen and make that a reality. But now, after being a couple of months, years after COVID in that sense, it's kind of the rails are there. So the learning management systems have been implemented. So now they're ready for the next thing. And the rails are there. So now with the ability also to make VR training part of those learning journeys via the LMSs, we expect that there will be more and more implementations at scale being utilized within companies. The second driver we want to discuss is the classroom. And let's call it Classroom 2.0. Because during COVID, of course, every classroom was abandoned. But now, post-COVID, we've seen more and more people getting back into the classroom for their learning, for learning with their peers, to have also those social interactions again, which is, of course, great. But now, a little bit further in time, people are also thinking, well, okay, so how can we now make the classroom again more interesting, right? So we predict that VR, as Thijs also shared with the educational institutions, will make sure or will utilize or will provide a way to bring situations into the classroom, and therefore making the impact of the programs that are provided in those classroom settings are more impactful, have a bigger retention, more engagement, and we're super excited to see that happening in this year.
On to prediction number 4. Right now we've been discussing use cases, organizations, and implementation, so it's time to discuss hardware. We expect 2023 to be more focused on the business, next to the consumer focus these headset manufacturers already have. Pico has just released the business version of its latest headset, the Pico 4. And the business version is called the Pico 4 Enterprise. It doesn't have access to the consumer app store, but it has its own enterprise app store. And next to that app store, it comes with a business suite that consists of a mobile device management solution, an MDM, but also with kiosk mode built in, for instance. And next to Pico, we know that Meta is also going to launch a business program coming year. And they've already launched the Oculus for Business program a few years back, and they're going to relaunch and rebrand it in Meta for Business. And it will be a similar suite with device and user management. And for us, it's really clear that these two brands are seeing the professional market as a super interesting market to be in with their hardware. And next to Pico and Meta, we definitely expect other brands to be diving in this professional market as well, making 2023 a very important year for these manufacturers to be stepping foot inside the business market.
All right, on to prediction number 5. And prediction number 5 is that we're expecting more and more use cases than only, let's say, health and safety. And as we already discussed a little bit, is that health and safety is a popular use case for the use of virtual reality. And that makes a lot of sense because in a way it's kind of low-hanging fruit, right? You can train people in dangerous situations, in locations and situations which are hard to come by or maybe take a lot of resources to organize in real life. And in addition, also it was also because of the hardware and the ability for the creation of those worlds in 3D, which made a lot of sense to start with as low-hanging fruit. So in addition to health and safety scenarios, we will be seeing more and more soft skill applications and use cases. And that makes a lot of sense because also those safety and health scenarios showed other people in the organization, so customer service, sales, leadership, all those people who are busy with education and training within the company have seen the benefit and the huge value of those training scenarios. Imagine that you can now train people in situations where they have to deal with customers, angry customers, difficult customers, and all those use cases now become more and more apparent because of the ability to have it also connected to your learning management system. So now it's also scalable and repeatable for companies to actually put it into practice. And maybe one thing just to point it out is also where you can use it for recruitment, right? In addition, because imagine you're a security guard and you're applying for a job, but you're not necessarily very sure about what the context is. So you might expect a lot of action, while maybe in real life it's more about helping elderly ladies to find their way to the exit. That helps also for companies to increase the retention, which in return saves a lot of money, but also resources in onboarding those new employees.
Thank you, Guido. On to prediction number 6. VR is going to be used a lot more for storytelling. With VR training becoming more and more mature, we've already discussed this in the previous predictions, we're seeing more use cases for the use of VR. From leadership development to sales enablement, but also learning about company culture, VR training is the perfect tool to empathize employees through storytelling. It's the perfect tool to train soft skills and use storytelling in the process to do so. Within our tools, storytelling is key. And this year we will be sharing a lot more about storytelling and how to use that for VR training. Companies now understand there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to VR training. Because next to the, let's say, hard skills VR training they already had, they can perfectly add these soft skills, more storytelling-related themes next to it. And with the integration within a LMS or LXP, all these training applications come together in one place, making it the perfect blending learning opportunity for employees.
On to prediction number 7, the last one, but last but not least, of course. And that prediction is all about not programmers, but instructional designers being the new creators of virtual reality. And as humans, we learn by doing, we learn by experiencing, we learn by making mistakes. But we're also storytellers. We like stories, and we also like to tell them. And so in essence, we are all creators. And if you think differently, just ask your kindergarten teacher about your creative skills. And that's exactly what this is about. There are more and more platforms available where you, as a creator, can create your own VR training scenarios. In 3D, yes, but also in 360 video. And that also connects to a maybe broader trend we've also seen within e-learning, where we've seen companies like 360 Learning and Sana Labs and even Easy Creator making it easier and putting the tools in the hands of those creators, not necessarily even instructional designers, but also subject matter experts. So together, they are the creators within companies. And that, of course, is a super exciting thing we are happy and looking forward to seeing more of in 2023.
Thank you, Guido, for giving all these predictions. And it was very exciting to take a look at what 2023 is going to bring for VR training. If you're excited to learn more, to create your own VR training scenarios for a variety of use cases using storytelling, please take a look at our website, and we are very happy to help. We're looking forward to this year and looking forward to get in touch. Thank you, and bye-bye.